Hey guys, Airsoft Al here, and another media review vlog style because I'm outside kind of clipping up limbs from trees that we've cleared. I'm taking a break to kind of give you a little media review. This one being actually a PayPal sponsored review. Sorry it took you so long. Been kind of busy on the farm as well as a lot of other stuff, but this one's called the Villain Wrangler, and it is a interesting concept that's actually been done, ironically enough, with My Hero Academia. I saw this a long time ago on AO3, but then this person actually wanted me to review it for the FF version, which actually has more chapters than anything else. It's by Little Hawking, something along those lines. I can't remember the author's name, but the Villain Wrangler actually is kind of a cool concept of, what would happen if a Make-A-Wish Foundation worker basically went out and found these villains who are not the overtly evil kind, and instead were actually the more morally gray kind. And it legitimately is a very wholesome story, to a degree, mind you. We'll get into that. But I'm not going to lie when I say that it actually is a very cool story. The whole idea is that essentially a Make-A-Wish worker goes out to find these villains to basically help out these kids who are either dying or are severely injured, things like that. And we get a lot of cool stuff that you don't really see a lot in DC stories, among them, of course, being some of the backstories, including the one for Lex Luthor. We'll get to that in a bit, but the big thing about it is that the first chapter is basically this guy is going out to find Poison Ivy for a little girl who is sadly dying from cancer. And there actually is a really big impact with that, and you really see that. And the Villain Wrangler actually does get a lot, more or less, in terms of just actually making an impact on a lot of these villains, from Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, Deadshot, even the Penguin makes an appearance in this. And I'm not talking about the Penguin that we saw early on in the Batman animated series. No, I'm talking about the mob boss Penguin who basically runs and owns the Iceberg Lounge, who actually makes a kid's day by literally sitting down and watching the Godfather movies with him. And it's a lot of fun. And of course, it does get to a point where when the Joker does appear, because one kid actually wanted to meet the Joker, which his request was denied, obviously, because this is the Joker, this is Mark Hamill's Joker, not Heath Ledger's Joker, which, dear God almighty, that would just be a pain in the butt. But the reason I bring up the Joker part is because when the Joker is actually brought up, and he does make an appearance, well, sadly, the Joker kidnaps the quote-unquote Villain Wrangler, the worker for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and shoots him. This does not go over well for the villains who have actually been impacted by this guy. And they literally beat the ever-loving hell out of the Joker and just leave him duct taped to the gates of Arkham. This does get the Justice League involved, and believe me, the Justice League does not make a good impact here because, well, they do actually jump the gun a little bit, especially with Lex Luthor, but the Bat family, which I love that they actually include the entire Bat family in this. So a little bit of a mixture of the comics and even the animated series actually does show in this. And it gets to a point where, more or less, we do learn about Lex Luthor's backstory that a lot of people kind of forget, and the fact that Lex Luthor actually had an abusive father. Be it physical or mental, he had an abusive father, and when a child who suffered from abuse requested to meet him, Lex Luthor was fucking pissed and filled this kid's request, and even said to him that if I survived, you can too. A very lovely bit of character development, because again, this isn't the overtly evil Lex Luthor that we all know from the comics or the shows. This is Lex Luthor, the cunning and calculating person who is a businessman, first and foremost, but also a lot of good from there. Cheetah, of course, was a fun one as well, and even had a little bit of fun character development there. Superman, of course, like I said, Supes actually does make an appearance, and sadly, of course, does kind of jump the gun a little bit, making assumptions. And again, not a lot of good press there for you guys. But it does end, the story does end with, of course, the Martian Manhunter actually coming to a kid because the kid wanted to talk to a Martian Manhunter because she was trying to relearn how to walk. And with his help, she does actually get some confidence and actually does learn how to walk again. There was even at one point where Bane and Killer Croc made an appearance, and they actually impacted the kids' lives. Very well, actually, and very well, even. And it's not the Tom Hardy type Bane, where it's like, nobody knew me until I wore the mask type Bane. No, this is Bane that we knew, the Spanish Bane from Batman the Animated Series. And again, it actually is kind of cool seeing all these characters interact with these kids and sort of showing their softer moral side, actually, and actually showing this. Even Raja Ghul makes an appearance in the story, playing chess with a little girl who actually knew his son, Jonah Hex, from the old folks' home because he talked about him. So, again, it was definitely interesting to actually see all of this. So, in a very big way, this story actually is really good. Even though it's at 34 chapters, which I hope he does continue it, even though he is continuing on, other works that he's done, he does have a Marvel version, which I may check out in the future. But The Villain Wrangler is a nice, wholesome story about a guy trying to fill out these kids' wishes, be it dying or severely injured. And I cannot wait to see what other of the villain gallery he brings in to basically impact these kids' lives and these villains' lives. I would go further, but honestly, I want you guys to read this yourself. This is actually a legitimately cool and great story. And I do hope the author does continue it. But, attendant, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I've been Airsoft Al, here with media reviews. And if you've got a fanfic that you would like me to check out, then consider doing so. I will, of course, be making an update on the PayPal donations and how those work, and sort of how they not only help out the channel, but sort of how they work for donations, of course, for reviewing fanfics and stories. And, yeah, as always, I've been Airsoft Al. And if you want to help out the channel, consider checking out the links down below. Those links are our affiliate links. They actually do help out the channel, and you get cool stuff in return along with our coupon codes. And if you want to help out the channel directly, consider donating to either the PayPal or Cash App down below. And as always, I've been Airsoft Al, and I shall see you lovely, lovely people in the next video. Till next time, later.